Hi guys, I'm Dr. Craig McGiffin, board certified chiropractic physician and functional medicine practitioner. Today we're here to talk about our cutting edge metabolic reset weight loss program. Thank you for taking the time to watch this short video. My job today is to kind of go into the details, explaining exactly how our process works. Before I get into all of that, however, I'd like to talk about the fact that I've been working in the weight loss world now for over 12 years. And one thing that I see consistently is the frustration that folks have. One of the reasons for that frustration is there's just a lot of gimmicks out there. There's a lot of yo-yo type diets. There's a lot of bad information that we find on the internet. And so this all results in people maybe dropping a few pounds only to gain back a few more. And so I'd like to address that frustration a little bit, and I will be throughout the talk that we're going to have today. So the one big thing that I like for people to realize is that most people would agree the food industry has really not been our friend over the last 50 or so years. In fact, I just had a client showing me the other day, and it was a picture of the boardwalk at Rehoboth Beach in 1970. And the interesting thing about that picture, and the reason she brought it to me was, in 1970, that boardwalk, you could not find a heavy person anywhere in there, and the boardwalk was packed that particular day. And her point was, wow, what a difference we've seen in just 50 years. So I think everyone would agree the food industry has added a lot of things like high fructose corn syrup, a ton of sugar, preservatives, food dyes, hormones, antibiotics, everything under the sun. And so what's happened with all of that stuff is it's caused some major disruptions in our metabolism. And so what we're talking about today is actually a way to actually reverse that, right? Correct that problem, get things back on track. And really, our whole entire purpose is not just to get the weight off, it's also to show you how to make that a permanent change. So resetting the metabolism, let's get into that a little bit. One of the biggest things that happens with the food that we have in today's world, like we talked about, the sugar content, high fructose corn syrup, food dyes, all of those things cause us to have what we would call a spike in our blood sugar. And so that's okay if that just happens every now and then, but when it happens on a consistent basis, there's some things that are going to happen. And, the body's response to a spike in the blood sugar is going to be for the body to produce more of a hormone called insulin. So that's insulin's job. It has to regulate and bring down our blood sugar. So that in and of itself is perfectly okay. But as these spikes happen on a more consistent basis, that's going to cause our body's insulin levels to just keep going higher and higher. So when that happens, that insulin is going to obviously bring the sugar out of the blood, but it has to store that somewhere. And the easiest place for that is to jam it into our fat cells. And so when we have these high insulin levels, you can imagine it's extremely difficult to take the weight off because that insulin is storing everything that comes into our body into our fat cells. So it's really hard to take the weight off. It's really easy to put it on. So if this sounds familiar, this is probably the right plan for you, meaning someone can be very, very diligent about eating well for the entire week, getting some exercise, and at the end of the week, they've managed to lose 2 or 3 pounds. And then on Saturday, they just look in the general direction of a donut and they gain back 4. So that's the perfect example of what a poorly functioning metabolism looks like. And that's what we need to change. So we changed that by using three specific tools. So, one of them that's rather common sense is we have a low glycemic, low inflammatory approved food list. So we have some very, very specific foods that we utilize during our what we would call reduction phase. So those foods obviously help to stop causing those spikes in the blood sugar that can allow us to start bringing those insulin levels back down. We use these all natural supplements. It's a proprietary blend of peptides, which are basically a combination of amino acids, some B vitamins, very specific herbs that help out with that process as well. And then we also coach folks on how to properly do intermittent fasting. So when we put those three things together, there's some wonderful things that are going to happen in the body. One is that's going to bring those body's insulin levels back down to a very low normal range where we want it to be. When that happens, that automatically triggers a separate hormone that's called glucagon. And as glucagon levels go up, glucagon is the hormone that's responsible for bringing the sugar, the fatty acids, and the contents out of the fat cells, and then our body uses those for fuel. So when we have that happening, now we're in the proper metabolic state to lose the fat. It takes us on the average about 7 to 10 days to get someone from relying basically on sugar for fuel and to transform them into fat burning mode. So once we have them in fat burning mode, that's when the magic happens. So we're now seeing where people lose anywhere from a half a pound to a full pound of fat per day while they're in that metabolic state. So not only are we losing weight quickly, but more importantly, we're losing it in pounds of fat. Very, very important if we want to make this a permanent change. So now we have changed the metabolic rate from fat storing mode to fat burning mode. So, and like I said, it only takes us 7 to 10 days to get there. So once we're done with the weight loss that we want to achieve, we then coach folks on our maintenance plan. So in maintenance, we're no longer doing intermittent fasting. We're no longer using any peptides. The entire process, we're only eating real food. So when we're in maintenance, we show you the exact foods, the exact portions, everything that you need to do to keep that weight off and make this a permanent change. Because in our opinion, the success of a weight loss program doesn't have anything to do with what happens over the next few months. It's what happens over the next few years. So there's no reason, in fact, it's unhealthy to lose weight just to gain it right back. So we want to make this a permanent change. Now, one other thing that I love to talk about in our program is we feel that we have basically mastered the art of salad dressings and condiments, spices, sodas, pastas, coffees, all of those things that we're so used to relying on, we have figured out how to keep those in our normal day and in our maintenance plan so that this doesn't even feel like we're doing a diet. So we still have all of those things that we love, we still have those in place. So not only does our program help you to get the weight off quickly, we get it off in pounds of fat, which is a very healthy way to lose the weight, and we show you how to easily maintain that. So we feel like we have basically covered all of the things, eliminated the frustrations that folks have. We see the weight come off on a daily basis, which is really, really cool. I'm going to also touch on the cost of the program. Unfortunately, these programs are just not yet covered by insurance. I want everybody to be aware of that fact. They are, however, typically covered by health savings accounts and flex spending accounts. The cost of our programs, they kind of range based upon how much a person needs to lose. So our plans range anywhere from $1,300 up to $2,300. We do have ways to pay for that upfront. We have payment plans. We have finance companies that help us with that. So almost anybody can afford our programs. So basically, if this idea behind our weight loss program has made sense to you, there's a very logical next step. So we're just going to reach out to the office, and we're going to schedule a 45-minute consultation with one of our health coaches. The nice thing is there is no charge for that consultation. That gives everyone the opportunity to come into the office, or we can do it virtually. We prefer if you come into the office so that we can sit down together, go through every single detail of the program, make sure it's the right fit for you, and get you all set up with getting into the process. So we look forward to seeing you soon. I thank you very much for taking the time to watch the video, and we look forward to you getting great results. Thank you.